My husband wanted a house and kids, but now I'm stuck working, caring for his sick parents, and barely surviving. He even tried to take my $300 bonus, and I can't take it anymore. Husband and we're in a traditional relationship. After we got married, I became a stay-at-home wife who took care of his parents in their 70s, 80s with poor health. We plan to have 2 kids. He's a blue-collar worker. The business isn't doing well, and he asked me to help out to keep payments of house, which we have a 6% mortgage on. Now I make barely above minimum wage as a receptionist/office admin. I work 30 hours a week, but I still have to take care of his parents, and I do the majority of the chores. Husband works 60 hours a week. He makes more than I do, but I still feel it's unfair. He says we can't afford anything. We live very frugally. I am frustrated and upset he won't budge about our spending or consider getting a new job. He was the one who wanted a house and a car, and now I have to work to the bone for something I didn't want. I got a small bonus of $300 because my boss said I was doing a very good job. Husband told me to deposit it in our shared bank account. I don't want to. I want to spend at least some of my bonus on myself. I need new clothes for the winter, and I'd like some for skincare and makeup since I'm running out. He says they're not necessities. I'm sick and tired of doing everything and having the one nice thing rewarded to me taken away too. We are annoyed at each other and won't budge. How do I make it clear I don't want to share that small bonus since I never get to do anything even when I've earned it? Update 1. I wanted to give an update since a lot has happened since my original post, and I think I need to get all of this off my chest. So, here we go. After the whole situation with the $300 bonus, things got pretty tense between my husband and me. We argued about it for a few days. He was dead set on the idea that the money should go into the shared account as he kept repeating that we need every penny we can get. According to him, it's only fair because he works so hard to keep everything afloat, and I should be contributing in the same way financially. But the thing is, I am contributing. And it's not just the money. I work 30 hours a week now. I take care of his elderly parents. And I do most of the household chores. I'm basically juggling 2 jobs at this point. And yet, I still feel like I can't even treat myself with a small reward that I've earned. I don't think he understands the level of burnout I'm experiencing. The $300 isn't just about the money. It's about the fact that I'm never able to do anything for myself anymore. It feels like every part of my life is centered around everyone else's needs but mine. His parents are wonderful people, but taking care of them is draining, especially since they have so many health issues and require constant attention. And with him working 60 hours a week, the responsibility falls entirely on me. I'm doing everything, and then some, and still, I can't even keep a small amount of money to buy some clothes or skincare? It just feels unfair, and I'm so tired of having to justify why I deserve a break or a treat once in a while. I told him I didn't want to deposit the money. I said I was willing to put most of it in the shared account, but I wanted to keep a small amount for myself. That led to another argument. He said we don't have the luxury to be spending money on wants right now, and that if we're going to get through this rough patch, we both need to be disciplined. I get it. I really do, but it's not like I'm asking for a vacation or some luxury handbag. I just want to feel like a human being again, not a robot who works, cooks, cleans, and takes care of people 24/7. One night, after we argued again, I finally hit my breaking point. I had been feeling so overwhelmed and unheard, and I just started crying. I don't even remember the last time I cried like that, but it was like everything I had been bottling up just came pouring out. I told him that I couldn't keep living like this, that I was drowning in responsibilities and I felt like I wasn't getting any support, emotionally or otherwise. I explained that it wasn't just about the money. It was about the fact that I never get to do anything for myself. I don't have time for hobbies, I don't see my friends anymore, and I can't even buy something small for myself without feeling guilty. He didn't say much while I was talking, which was frustrating at the moment. I honestly thought he wasn't even listening. But then, later that night, after things had calmed down a bit, he apologized. He said he hadn't realized how much I had been struggling because, in his mind, he thought he was doing everything he could by working long hours to support us financially. He admitted that he hadn't considered how much pressure I was under with taking care of his parents and the house on top of my job. He said he felt guilty that he couldn't provide more for us and that he didn't want me to feel like I had to take on so much. It was a relief to hear him finally acknowledge that. But then the conversation shifted, and we ended up talking about something I hadn't really expected. He brought up the idea of hiring someone to help with his parents. At first, I was taken aback because it's always been assumed that I would be the one to care for them, but the more we talked about it, the more it made sense. His parents are getting older, and their needs are only going to increase. I'm already struggling to keep up with everything, and it's not sustainable long-term for me to be their sole caregiver while also working and maintaining the house. We agreed to look into some affordable options for part-time help. I can't even explain the weight that lifted off my shoulders at the thought of having some assistance. It's still early days, and we haven't made any final decisions yet, but just knowing that he's open to the idea of getting help is a huge step forward. That being said, things are far from perfect. We're still on a tight budget, and the financial stress is still there. He's still adamant about not spending money on things he considers non-essential, but at least now he's more understanding of why I feel the way I do. I ended up keeping $50 from my bonus, which isn't a lot, but it was enough to get a few things I needed without feeling too guilty about it. The rest went into the shared account. I'm still not thrilled about the situation, but I'm trying to see it as a compromise. We've also started talking more about our finances and how we can find a better balance between saving and allowing ourselves small luxuries. He's always been the kind of person who's super focused on saving, and while I appreciate that, I think there has to be some room for flexibility. We're going to sit down and look at our budget together to see if there's a way to allocate even a tiny bit of money each month for personal expenses, so we're not both feeling deprived all the time. I know this might not be a huge breakthrough, but I do feel like we're making progress, even if it's slow. I'm still frustrated at times, and I wish things could be easier, but I'm trying to stay optimistic. At least we're communicating more openly now, and that feels like a step in the right direction. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm cautiously hopeful, but we still have a long way to go. I guess we'll see what happens. Thanks to everyone who gave advice or just listened. It helped more than you know, and I'm grateful for the support. Update 2. I'm back with another update. Things have been progressing, though not quite as smoothly as I hoped. I wanted to share what's been going on since my last post and get your thoughts on a few things, because I'm feeling pretty conflicted right now. So, after our conversation about getting part-time help for his parents, we started looking into some affordable care options. At first, I was really relieved, thinking that this would take a huge burden off my shoulders. But then we hit a roadblock. We looked into several agencies and independent caregivers, and even the most affordable options are more expensive than we anticipated. My husband immediately shut it down, saying there's no way we can afford to hire anyone, even for just a few hours a week. He said that until his work picks up, it's just not feasible. That really crushed me because I had been clinging to the hope that things would get a little easier soon, and now it feels like I'm back to square one. To make matters worse, his parents' health has been declining more rapidly than we expected. His dad had a minor fall the other week, which wasn't serious, thank God, but it scared me. It made me realize that their care needs are going to become more intense as time goes on, and I honestly don't know how I'm going to keep up with it all. I've tried to talk to my husband about it again, but he just keeps saying we'll figure it out. But what does that even mean? It feels like he's brushing it off, and I'm the one left holding the bag. At the same time, work for me has gotten more stressful. I was asked to take on more hours at my job, bumping me up from 30 hours to nearly full-time. My boss said it's temporary and that they'll hire additional help soon, but that could be weeks or months from now, and I don't really have the luxury of turning down extra income. So now I'm working almost 40 hours a week taking care of his parents and still doing the majority of the housework. I'm exhausted. I've been trying to keep my head above water, but I can feel myself sinking. I don't have any time for myself, and I'm constantly stressed and anxious. I've had trouble sleeping, and I feel like I'm snapping at everyone, even when I don't mean to. I've tried talking to my husband about maybe hiring someone to help with the housework instead, just to ease some of the load, but he didn't seem open to that either. He thinks it's something I can manage and that we shouldn't spend money on things we can do ourselves. It's frustrating because it feels like he's not fully seeing the toll this is taking on me. He's under a lot of stress, too, with his work not going well, but I don't think he realizes that I'm nearing my breaking point. Financially, we're still in the same place. We're scraping by, but it's tight, and every month feels like a gamble. There's this constant tension between us when it comes to money. I'm still the one managing the household budget because, honestly, I'm better at it, but it's draining. Every time I try to suggest maybe cutting back on certain things or finding ways to be a bit more flexible with our spending, he shuts it down. He's so focused on saving for the future that it feels like he's forgetting we still need to live in the present. I'm not asking for big luxuries, but I need something. I feel like I'm losing myself in all of this. There's also been another issue that's come up recently, and I'm not really sure how to handle it. A few days ago, I was chatting with one of my coworkers, just venting a little bit about my situation, and she mentioned that maybe I should consider looking for a better paying job. That thought hadn't even occurred to me before because I've been so focused on just keeping everything together. She pointed out that, with the experience I've gained as an office admin, I could probably find something with more hours and better pay, even if it's not a huge jump. At first, I brushed it off because I didn't think I had the energy to job hunt on top of everything else. But now it's been stuck in my head. Maybe I should be looking for something better. Maybe that's the way I can improve our financial situation and take some of the pressure off. But the thought of adding a job search to my already overwhelming to-do list feels impossible. When I brought it up to my husband, he was surprisingly against it. He said that right now the stability of my current job is important, and we can't afford to risk me leaving for something else that might not work out. He also said that, since I'm already stretched thin, taking on a more demanding job would only make things worse for me. I understand where he's coming from, but I can't help feeling like this is our only way out of the rut we're in. If I can get a better paying job, maybe we could afford to hire help for his parents or for the housework. Maybe we wouldn't have to live so frugally all the time. But I also don't want to make a rash decision that could end up hurting us more in the long run. At this point, I'm really torn. I feel stuck between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, I'm overwhelmed with everything I'm handling, and I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. On the other hand, I'm afraid of making a decision that might make things worse instead of better. I've been going back and forth in my head, and I just don't know what the right move is. Do I stay in my current job, suck it up, and hope things eventually get better? Or do I take a leap of faith and start looking for something that could potentially improve our financial situation, but might add even more stress to my life in the short term? I feel like I'm constantly walking on eggshells, trying not to upset the balance, but I'm the one crumbling underneath it all. And what's worse is that I don't feel like I have anyone to lean on. My husband is stressed and overwhelmed too, but I don't think he understands how different our stress is. He's worried about money and work, but I'm also dealing with the emotional and physical toll of caregiving, managing the house, and now this potential job situation. I just want a break. I want some relief. I want to feel like my needs matter too, and I'm not just a cog in the machine that keeps our life running. I'm really not sure what to do next. I'm trying to stay strong, but it's hard when it feels like nothing is changing, and the weight of everything is getting heavier by the day. If anyone has any advice or insight, I'd appreciate it because I'm honestly at a loss right now. Thanks again for reading and for all the support. It means a lot more than I can express.